What's going on, everybody? This is J.R.R, and today I am reviewing The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien himself. This is obviously the first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and this book is one of the best fantasy books out there. In this book, Bilbo Baggins and his adopted son Frodo both live a peaceful life in the Shire when Gandalf the wizard tells them that the ring Bilbo found in one of his adventures is not as simple as it seems. When they discover the insignia on the ring written in the old language of Mordor and saying, "One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all and in the darkness bind them," they can confirm that it is indeed the one ring belonging to the Dark Lord himself, who was defeated in ancient times. As Bilbo is already old, he transfers the ring to Frodo, and Gandalf tells him that the Dark Lord indeed is rising again, since his power is still kept inside this ring. So they have the responsibility to protect this ring, and thus the adventure of four hobbits bringing the ring to safety starts, leading from the peaceful valleys of the Shire and evolving into a full-on flight when the evil forces discover them and they are being followed by some queer and evil dark riders until they finally reach the safety of Rivendell, where the elf lord Elrond is dwelling. After they finally reach Rivendell and Elrond and are safe for a while, they form a fellowship to protect the ring and bring it to the cracks of Mount Doom, the place where it was forged and the only place where it can be destroyed, to finally end the power of the Dark Lord. But for this they have to travel to the faraway land of Mordor, the land of the Dark Lord himself. So, now that we've actually understood the story, if you were unfamiliar, we can go on and I can talk about what I love so much about this book, and there's been a few aspects that are really good. The first thing I want to talk about is the world and the rich history behind this world. The world we are talking about is Middle-earth. It has been around for thousands of years. This can be seen from monuments and statues dotting the landscape, to histories of old ancient battles and long since departed kings. There is a huge lore in this world that you can actually explore in more detail in another book called The Silmarillion. It's just amazing to have a world this diverse with lots of different races like humans, elves, orcs, dwarves, hobbits, and even more. And it being so thought out and so thoroughly detailed, it's just a great world. The next thing I want to talk about is the magic system. Now, the magic system in this book is not as explicit as in other modern fantasy books. And in the beginning, it is also not as important. And sometimes the characters in this book don't even know what magic really is supposed to be, because magic for the elves is just the way they work and the way they do stuff. But there's a lot of magical and mythical stuff in here that we don't really know a lot about. It seems like magic can work through words of power, so I think magic working through the language makes it a lot more epic, and language is one aspect of this world that's actually very important that I'm going to talk about later, but I just think it makes the magic that much more epic. When you have Gandalf saying something like Naur an Idrath Amen, or something like that, it just makes the scene seem so much more epic and so much more mysterious, in my opinion. The next thing I really enjoy in this book is the love for details. This is a world crafted so wonderfully and explored so fully in this book, and it really amazes me because we don't get to see that a whole lot more in newer books. There's some small details like how things are named. Oftentimes something will have a different name in Elvish and in Dwarfish. It's crazy how you can tell that a character is a hobbit or an elf or a dwarf just from the name, just from the sound of the name, and I think it really works in this book, and that's something very good and very immersive, and I love that. So I just love how much detail is spent on exploring the world. Even though the pacing really suffers a bit from this, I think it's just amazing, and it makes you wonder how much more is out there in the world that you're currently visiting. The next thing I really loved is the Fellowship of the Ring. The Fellowship, on a quest to destroy the ring, consisting only of 9 people, 4 of them being the hobbits Frodo, Sam, Merry and Pippin, and the other one's been Gandalf the Wizard, because who doesn't love wizards? Aragorn, Arathorn's son, also known as Strider in the beginning, a hidden king, which I think is really cool, and I love the poem he had in the beginning of the book. All that is gold does not glitter, not all those who wander are lost. The old that is strong does not wither, deep roots are not reached by the frost. From the ashes a fire shall be woken, a light from the shadows shall spring, renewed shall be the blade that was broken, the crownless again shall be king. Which is a poem I just really love. It's something that Bilbo actually wrote, and I think it's really beautiful. There is Legolas, the majestic elf, Gimli the dwarf, and Boromir from the great city of Gondor. And everyone in this fellowship is just so unique, and it feels so alive and so immersive. That's just something I love in the book. I also really enjoy how Tolkien displayed this unavoidable conflict in the fellowship on how they want to choose the way to Mordor, because that is obviously something that would happen. If you have a group consisting of some very different people who are all from a higher background, then you're gonna have those conflicts, and I love it. It just makes everybody seem so much more alive, in my opinion. And the last but not least thing I really love about this book is the adventure. I think adventure is one of the key things I really love in fantasy books, and in this book, from the dungeons of Moria to the beauty of Lothlorien, it is just an amazing world full of unknowns, and I just really enjoy that in fantasy books. So let's talk about this book in general. I want to say that even though I had a lot of praise for this book, the first half and the second half of this book read very different. The first half is almost like a fairy tale and much more light-hearted, and the second half is much more like the epic fantasy we know today, which isn't that strange considering the time Tolkien wrote this book in. Tolkien's book is actually very significant in the history of fantasy, basically almost inventing the fantasy genre. So everybody who reads fantasy books should really go ahead and read The Lord of the Rings. So in the first half there's almost this fairy tale-like setting. We have a lot of poetry and a lot of songs, and in the second half we still have some of it, but not nearly as much. And the pacing in the first half is also a lot slower. But as soon as they arrive in Bree, the pace really picks up and it really gets very epic in the second half of the book. So the score I will give this book is an 8 out of 10. Now, I know, don't kill me yet that I didn't give a 10 out of 10 to your favorite Lord of the Rings book, but I think this book just isn't quite there yet. The first half seems very off compared to the second half. I really enjoyed it, but it's just very different. And the pacing is very, very slow in the beginning, which I think throws a lot of people off. But I really enjoy the detail in this book, and I also really enjoy how epic it gets in the second half. So if you've either never read The Lord of the Rings or you are on the fence of reading it, I just really recommend you to just jump in and read it. I can guarantee you it's worth it, and the next books are going to be even better than this one. So even if the beginning of the book seems kind of slow to you, it gets better. It gets much better. So that concludes my review of the first book of the trilogy. So I'm really curious about your opinion. I know that people are kind of split. Some say it's very boring and pacing is too low because they read the first half and they find like Tom Bombadil and everything is kind of slow and they don't know what's going on because it wasn't in the movies. But I just really like the book. I like it when books take it a bit slower in the beginning, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you thought, and if you like this review, make sure to leave a like and maybe sub to this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye!